Welcome to English Grammar 2, Unit 60. Prepositions. Preposition in, for, about, etc. Prepositions followed by verb plus ing. We know that prepositions are followed by nouns, and if we don't have nouns after prepositions, then we have verbs, nouns derived from verbs by adding ing. So we have verb plus ing after the preposition. In part A here we start. If a preposition in, for, or about, etc. is followed by a verb, then the verb ends in ing. Here means noun derived from the verb by adding ing to the verb. In other words, we have verb plus ing. Here we have in the table certain examples or some examples. Let's see the first one. Are you interested in working for us? Here the preposition in is followed by verb plus ing, working. And we know here we have the adjective interested before in. I am not very good at learning language. Here we have the preposition at, and it is followed by verb plus ing, and the verb plus ing here is learning and the complement language. Example number 3. Sue must be fed up with studying. Here we have with is a preposition after fed up, and it is followed by verb plus ing, studying. What are the advantages of having a car? Here we have the preposition of followed by verb plus ing, having. Next example. Thanks very much for inviting me to your party. Here we have the preposition for, and it is followed by verb plus ing, inviting. How about meeting for the lunch tomorrow? Here we have the preposition about, and it is followed by verb plus ing, meeting. Why don't you go out instead of sitting at home all the time? We have here instead of is a preposition here followed by verb plus ing, sitting, or noun derived from a verb. Carol went to work in spite of feeling ill. In spite of is a preposition followed by verb plus ing, feeling ill. If we look here, we find that all the prepositions here are followed by verb plus ing. And we have already said that prepositions are followed by nouns. And if we don't have nouns after prepositions, then we use verb plus ing, or what is called noun derived from a verb by the addition of ing to the verb. Then the form becomes verb plus ing. This form can be used in another way by the addition of a noun, somebody, before the verb plus ing, between the preposition and the verb plus ing. We can add somebody or a noun between the preposition of and the verb plus ing. For example, here you can also say, instead of somebody doing something, fed up with people doing something. Here, after fed up with, we have people, noun before the verb plus ing, before doing, etc. For example, I am fed up with people telling me what to do. And here we have people, noun, comes between the preposition and the verb plus ing. Then sometimes we have the ability to add a noun between the preposition and the verb plus ing. So to conclude here in this part A, prepositions are followed by nouns, and if we don't have nouns, prepositions are followed by verbs plus ing, or what we call the nouns derived from verbs by the addition of ing to the verb. So we have verb plus ing after the prepositions. In another rule, we can add noun between the preposition and the verb plus ing too. This is for part A. Let's move to part B. Note the use of the following prepositions plus verb plus ing. We have here certain prepositions followed by verb plus ing. For example, the preposition before, after, a preposition by, and the preposition without. Let's start with the prepositions before, followed by verb plus ing, and after, followed by verb plus ing. Before going out, I found Sarah. This is the first example. Before going out, I found Sarah, and here we used after before, verb plus ing, going. So after the preposition before, we used verb plus ing, going. We don't say before to go out. We don't use infinitive. We don't use infinitive after prepositions like before. Example number 2. What did you do after leaving school? What did you do after? We have here after, and after is followed by verb plus ing, leaving. We don't say after to leave school. We say after leaving school. In the two examples mentioned above, you can also say before I went out or after you left school. Before, for the first example, for example, before I went out, I found Sarah. And in the second example, what did you do after you left school? And here, to contract it, to shorten it, we can change subject plus verb into verb plus ing. We change subject I went into leaving, and we change you left into leaving as well. So before going can be changed into before I went, and to contract it, we just remove the subject and plus verb I went out and change it into going. So it becomes before going out, I found Sarah. And in the other example, What did you do after you left school? And to contract it, to shorten it, we drop you left, subject and verb, and put verb plus ing instead of two words. We use one word, so it becomes after leaving school. Let's move to the other preposition, by. By is followed by verb plus ing as well. And by here means to say how something happens, to speak about the means or the way something happens. We use the preposition by, and we can add verb plus ing after by. For example, the burglars got into the house by breaking a window and climbing in. Here we have how. How did the burglars got into the house? We speak about how, about the way they got into the house. We use by, the preposition by, and followed by verb plus ing, breaking, and as well climbing. So the preposition by is followed by breaking, and the climbing here means it is followed by verb plus ing. Example number 2, you can improve your English by reading more. How to improve your English? Then we answer the question how by using the preposition by and verb plus ing. So we can say you can improve your English by reading more. And here the preposition by is followed by verb plus ing, reading. Example number 3, she made herself ill by not eating properly. So to answer the question, how did she make herself ill? We answer the question by using the preposition by and verb plus ing, and here it is negative, so we say by not eating, and here we see that we use eating after by and we use not before eating to make it negative. So we have here verb plus ing after the preposition by. The last example here, many accidents are caused by people driving too fast. How are many accidents caused? To answer this question, we use the preposition by, and we use here after the preposition we use noun people, then we use verb plus ing, driving too fast. So we say by people driving too fast. Who are driving too fast? People. So we say people is object of the preposition, then driving too fast is here adjective phrase that describes people. So it functions as adjective to people. We say by people driving too fast. And here we use noun after the preposition by, and after the noun we use verb plus ing, driving. Let's go to the third preposition here, or the fourth exactly, without. Without is followed by verb plus ing. We ran 10 kilometers without stopping, and here we use the preposition without followed by verb plus ing, stopping. Example number 2, it was a stupid thing to say. I said it without thinking. Here we use without followed by verb plus ing, thinking. She needs to work without people disturbing her or without being disturbed. Here in the first example, she needs to work without people disturbing her. This part, people, here we use noun after the preposition without, then we use verb plus ing disturbing here. And here in this part, people disturbing here, this part is active where people are the subject of the verb disturb. So without people disturbing here. And to make it passive, to make it in the passive form, so we say she needs to work without being disturbed. Actually, this part of sentence, without people disturbing her, means without people who are disturbing her. And when we move her forward to make it a passive, then becomes she is being disturbed. She is being disturbed. And when we drop she is, then becomes without people disturbing her, without being disturbed. When we drop she is, what remains being disturbed. So we have the preposition without followed by being, verb plus ing. The last example in part B, I have enough problems of my own without having to worry about yours. Without here is followed by verb plus ing, having to worry about yours. Again, we can conclude this part as well. After prepositions like before, after, by, and without, we use verb plus ing as well. And sometimes we add noun before the verb plus ing after the preposition. We put nouns between the preposition and the verb plus ing. Let's move to part C. In part C, we go to the preposition to, which is confusing. We know most of the time we say to is followed by base form, and in this case we call it infinitive. To form infinitive, we use to plus the base form, to plus the verb in the base form, and this is called infinitive. And to here is infinitive, not a preposition. And when it is a preposition, to is followed by a noun, or to is followed by verb plus ing. This is another rule. First one, to is followed by the base form or the verb in the base form, and it is called infinitive, what we call it infinitive. And the other form, to is a preposition, and when to is a preposition, then it is followed by a noun or verb plus ing. So let's see here, to plus verb plus ing. For example, look forward to doing. Here we have doing, verb plus ing, and here to in this form is a preposition. To is a preposition and followed by verb plus ing. To is often part of infinitive. Let's take the first rule. To is often part of the infinitive, to do, to see, and here in this case, to is always followed by the base form or the verb in the base form, as in the examples, to do or to see, etc. Example number 1, we decided to go out. Here, to go out here is infinitive, to is infinitive, and followed by the base form or the verb in the base form, go. Would you like to meet for lunch tomorrow? And here, to meet, to is infinitive followed by the base form or the verb in the base form, meet. So here to is infinitive, but to is also a preposition. The other case is that to can be a preposition like in, for, about, from, like any other preposition. And we know that, or we have already said that prepositions are followed by nouns, and if they are not followed by nouns, they are followed by verbs plus ing. For example, we drove from London to Edinburgh. Edinburgh here is a noun, so to is a preposition. To is a preposition and it is followed by noun. I prefer tea to coffee. Here, to coffee, to is a preposition and it is followed by noun, coffee. The third example, are you looking forward to the weekend? To is followed by the weekend by noun. To here is a preposition. That's why it is followed by a noun. If a preposition is followed by a verb, in other words, if we don't have real noun after the preposition, then we have verb plus ing. We have verb plus ing. For example, in doing, here in is a preposition followed by verb plus ing. About meeting, about is a preposition followed by verb plus ing. Without stopping, without is a preposition followed by verb plus ing, etc. So when to is a preposition and it is followed by a verb, you must say to plus verb plus ing. In other words, you must use a verb after to followed by ing. So to, the preposition to, is followed by verb plus ing. First example, I prefer driving to traveling. Here to is a preposition, and since it is a preposition, it must be followed either by noun or by verb plus ing, and here we have verb plus ing, traveling by train. We don't say I prefer driving to travel. Here to is not infinitive. That's why we don't use base form. To here is a preposition. When to is a preposition, then it is followed by a noun or a verb plus ing. The last example, are you looking forward to going on holiday? Here, looking forward to is a preposition, that's why it is followed by verb plus ing. We don't say are you looking forward to go, because to here is a preposition, that's why it is followed by verb plus ing. To is not infinitive here, that's why it is not followed by the base form. So to conclude all the unit, we can say that prepositions are mainly followed by nouns. If we don't use nouns, we use verbs plus ing. We use verb plus ing after prepositions. And sometimes we use both. We use noun, then verb plus ing in some cases. In the case of to can be infinitive. When to is an infinitive, then it is followed by the base form, the verb in the base form. It is followed by a bare verb, a verb without ing, and we call it infinitive. But when to is a preposition, then it is followed by a noun, or if we don't have a noun, we have verb plus ing. It is followed by verb plus ing, and it is not called infinitive in this case. It is called a preposition, and the noun that comes after it, it is called object of the preposition to. That's all. Thank you.